What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. We are here on Saturday getting ready for tonight's bowl game with the Washington Huskies, getting ready for tomorrow's game against the Indianapolis Colts. I will be doing watch along live streams of both games, by the way, so please do check all that out. But that's not what we're going to be talking about in this video. This video, we're going to take a look at some more charts that I thought were pretty cool and pretty illuminating. So, we're talking about offensive linemen, we're talking about offensive tackles, and I want to go ahead and take a look and see what kind of value we're getting out of some of our high profile guys. So, this is Timo Riske, I believe is how you pronounce it, one of the Pro Football Focus writers, goes by PFF Moo, and he's been putting together this chart on a relatively frequent basis so far this year. I don't think he does it every week, but he did it this most recent week, and let's see what he has. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Let me tell you, if you're not using Sleeper this year for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen right now. Look at all the great fun stuff you can pick on over there. All kinds of over-unders, pretty much any sport you can imagine. Obviously, we're big fans of football around here. Let's take a look at my entry for this week. I've got Jerry Jeudy going over 34 yards against the Bears. I got Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown against the Bengals. I've got Pat Mahomes going under 241 passing yards against the Chargers. And I have Jason Myers kicking at least 2 field goals against the Colts. So get on over to Sleeper. You can put together an entry just like this. And if you use promo code SBN, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check them out and test your football knowledge. So, what we have here is a chart that takes a look at how often and how good offensive tackles are when left on an island. So, basically, an island is any play where an offensive lineman, in this case a tackle, but it could be any offensive lineman, has no help blocking from a guard, a running back, or a tight end. So any play where there's no chip, there's no double, this chart is meant to help evaluate that. And let's zoom in a little bit on the actual data here. It basically gives an idea of who is excelling at the tackle position when taking into account degree of difficulty, because it's much harder to operate on an island as an offensive lineman. So let's take a look here. So Charles Cross, let's start with Charles Cross, the left tackle for the Seahawks. Island rate. Now, island rate is exactly what it sounds like. The percentage of the time where an offensive lineman has no help by a guard, running back, or a tight end. Again, this is pass blocking we're talking about here. So any passing play where you're on your own, Charles Cross is at about 59%. Now, for some context, you can see that the league average is probably somewhere around 55, 56%. So Charles Cross is left on an island a little more than average. You can also see, by the way, it ranges all the way from like about 43% to 71%. So Cross doing it a little bit more than average. And his pass block win rate when left on an island is about 90%. Maybe it's like 89.7, somewhere around that range. So that is also a little bit above average. You can see that the range here is basically as low as what, 68% maybe with Cornelius Lucas, and it goes all the way up to about 94.5% with Laramie Tunzel. Maybe you're getting up to 95 with Lane Johnson. So it's clearly above average. Clearly above average. It's something that we ask him to do a decent amount, and it's something that he does decently well. And then you got Abe Lucas. He's the other guy you would want to talk about. He's right here. He's right here in the upper middle. So, first of all, we put him on an island about an average amount of the time. It's about 55, 56%. call it 56. I think it's right around league average for a tackle, so a little bit more than half the time. And his pass block win rate when left on an island is right up there with the top guys. Like, the guys above him would be Titus Howard, Penei Sewell, Laramie Tunsil, Garrett Bowles, Joe Alt, Luke Godecki, Andrew Thomas, Lane Johnson, Warren McClendon, Darnell Wright. So you're right at about the top 10. You're right at about the top 10. And how many tackles are on this list? I believe it's more than 60. It might even be more than 70. So in terms of performing when he is left on an island, Abe Lucas is elite or borderline elite. So both Seattle tackles, because obviously that's all we got, are doing this well. They're doing it at the very least above average and probably better. Like, if you're looking at it as being like you want to be in the upper right quadrant, Charles Cross is really good. So, really cool stuff. Really kind of, I think, helps eliminate the really strong level of play we're getting from these two guys. Now, Timo did post a second chart here with a different y-axis, the adjusted pass block grade instead of just the pass block win rate. This accounts for how bad they got beat, the game situation, how long the quarterback throws the ball, holds the ball. It basically tries to put things into context. So if you take a look at this chart, if you're looking for Charles Cross, island rate, like, it's the same. It's just under 60%, above average. And his grade over expectation when left on an island is also above average. So even if you take things in context, we are talking about clearly a good tackle when it comes to being left on an island. And remember, being left on an island is valuable. If you're left on an island, that means you have more players that are free to help out somebody else or run a route or do anything other than help you. And then you've got Abe Lucas. He's kind of hidden, but he's right here, again, about 56%. And you can see even when a context is applied, he is noticeably above average and above expectation. And by the way, first game of the season, he blew the game by allowing a sack on Sam Darnold, causing a fumble. So that is about as bad as it gets when you talk about game situation. And even with the play like that on his ledger, we are talking about a clearly above average to good tackle. And this may not sound like anything really worth celebrating. I know people are going to look at this and go, well, it's not great, right? Like Cross, maybe you'd say he's good, pushing up into really good overall. But Abe Lucas, just kind of like doing his job. But understand the nature of the left tackle position in the NFL. And remember, this stuff, like pass block win rate and grade over expectation, they should be relatively independent of the offense. Sam Darnold generally does a good job getting the ball out of his hands. This offense generally does a good job not hanging the offensive line and pass protection out to dry. That stuff should not really be applied here. That stuff is not affecting this in theory. So you're just trying to take the play of the individual player and evaluating it. So to be clear here, this should be disregarding what Darnold or Kubiak or anybody else is doing. It's the player. And look, Abe Lucas, I don't think I need to go too far into this. Like, understand what we have with Abe Lucas. I went to Spotrac, sorted by right tackle, average annual value. Abe Lucas is, I believe, 14th in the league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th. Yes, he is 14th in the league. He is making slightly more than half the average annual value of the top paid right tackle in football, Sewell. So understand what we're getting here. We did not pay Abe Lucas believing that he was one of the best right tackles in football. We are not paying him expecting that level of play. And remember, Lucas signed his contract last year. A lot of the guys here signed their contract before then. Guys like Terrence Steele, Mike McGlinchey. Actually, almost everyone above him signed their contract in a prior offseason. So, as a percentage of the available and expected cap, Abe Lucas is actually probably on a contract that is below average for a starting right tackle. It's probably not even top 16. So, when you are getting clearly above average to good play from Lucas, you are getting more than your money's worth, 100%. And the Charles Cross thing, I point this out because I get the sense that there are definitely some people in the Seahawks fan base who are a little wondering about Cross because he's not taking that big leap. He's not taking the Tristan Wirfs leap. He's not taking the I don't want to say Trent Williams because Trent Williams is so old now, but he's not ascending to that prime Trent Williams level. He's not ascending to the necessarily, I would say, even like a Jordan Maitaya level. He's not getting there, and I think some people are anxious about that and wondering what we have here. And I want to look at a chart like this and illustrate we still have a very good player here. A guy who is still young, by the way. So when the offseason comes, and I imagine we're going to be paying Charles Cross not quite top left tackle money, but close. I want to illustrate that this is still a good player. This is still an effective player, and we're getting good value there. Maybe he'll get slightly overpaid on a technical level, but understand how bad this can be and how important it is to have a good left tackle and how bad it would be if we did actually try to do something different here. Almost certainly we end up with somebody worse. All right. That's what I wanted to talk about today. See you guys later. Go Hawks.